Shakira!
Shakira.
Danny, what's good? How's LA?
LA is strange right now, let me tell you.
How
It's
so?
deserted. Can't get groceries anywhere. Can't go to the beach.
I know
The
that's
last
a
one's
weird
really
one
that
too
hurts.
because I was thinking the beach might be one of the safest spots to go right now because UV light kills it. Like maybe if you puke on
and
the
there's
sands.
so much room at the beach.
Yeah,
Venice
right?
Beach is different. There's so many people, but I go
Yeah.
to secluded beaches all the time. I think the problem was that they wanted to keep them open, and what
Too many
happened
people
was
were going.
there's this weekend. It was last weekend. There were way too many people there, and they were not distancing. So
Right. That's like Florida
they didn't
too.
really have an option. It's like, well, you guys can't follow directions, so one after another gets closed down.
So is there still traffic there?
Not really.
Damn.
This I was just talking to my girlfriend earlier, and she had to run and do something down in West Hollywood today, and that drive usually in morning, like Monday morning traffic, would have taken her 45 minutes, maybe even an hour. She was there in 20 minutes.
What? God
Yeah,
damn.
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, the weirdest thing here is I live right on Carson, which is famously like the loudest street at night, especially in the weekends. Saturday night, looking out of my window and down Carson and seeing like two cars, and when the bars are all closed, all of their neon signs are off and everything, so it's extra dark. It looks like Zombieland or something. It's so weird.
Yeah. It's pretty cool though. I've been enjoying like driving around and walking. A lot of people are bicycling. It's now more than ever. I wish I had a bike.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
you
pretty
can-
much all I've been doing.
Bicycle downtown up to Hollywood and stuff and have no problems.
Yeah. There's nothing like biking in a city, man. Especially if you have like a little side path that you could bypass everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sick. That's what I think Pittsburgh has the best of that I've seen so far is their river trails, dude. Anywhere along the river, you can fucking get to another trail. They're all connected. And
That's sick.
still to this day, I find new places like along that, you know?
Yeah, there's a bike path on the LA River that a lot of people go to. But that's a pretty big equestrian area too. There's a lot of people who ride horses there. They just like ride them along the river. You'd never think 'cause it's right, like smack dab in the middle of LA.
Yeah, when it's super dry, you could probably just ride your bike along that, right? Like in the LA River.
Yeah, I mean, if you could definitely get down in there. It might be a little hard to get out. Some pretty big fucking walls.
Hey, I do it all the time in GTA. I'm pretty sure I could do it in real life too.
I've seen a lot of I used to watch so much skate videos, and I used to see so many people skating down in those big trenches, and I see them here, and I'm like, I don't know how you get into that thing.
Yeah. Imagine if in the middle you had enough water that you could send waves down, and then people could like surf on that.
Yeah.
That would be crazy. Like a
That'd
long
be
wave pool,
insane.
maybe.
Speaking of surfing, man, that's another bummer about this whole situation. Is I was hoping I'd have a surfboard by now, but
Yeah, pretty much everything I wish I had right now. I looked to, like, I was looking at a mic. I was looking at some components and stuff. Anything that I would go to buy online won't be here until the third week in April.
yeah, everything on Amazon is backed up to that point.
Yeah.
Can't even order like a DVD.
Oh, wait, the other day I just saw that there are like great whites in LA.
Really?
Yeah, it was a Shark Week thing. That shows how fucking bored I am. I was rewatching Shark Week from 2018. And
That's funny.
there was an episode about sharks in LA, and it showed great whites, and I was like, what the fuck?
That's the great thing though, is all this content we have. Think if this only happened like 10, 20 years ago, it'd be so much harder to entertain ourselves.
Yep.
Never mind like 30, 40 years ago, I was reading stuff about the Spanish influenza, and it's crazy, even like a lot of the similarities that we're dealing with now.
Yeah, and that's H1N1, I think.
H1N1, is that like what it's actually called?
Yeah, no, the Spanish flu in World War I I'm pretty sure was the same exact virus that hit us in 2008 or whatever.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there were a lot of people infected from that too. I saw these graphs plotting how many people were infected. H1N1 made every other one that ever happens look like nothing. It was crazy.
That's crazy.
But I was also reading
Is that like the swine flu? Like, you remember when that came around?
Yep.
I remember getting vaccinated for that at the high school.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I knew people that had that too. I think I was in
Really?
8th grade, 9th grade maybe.
Wow.
But no, I was reading in the 40s and 50s, they used to close down swimming pools quite often, like almost every year, because polio.
Yeah, that's what I keep thinking about that. That's like definitely a way I stay positive in this is like, I'm trapped inside, but how can I really complain? Like, I'm healthy. We're not dealing with something like polio where people, kids can't even move their, being put in iron lungs because they can't even breathe.
Yeah. I love in The Office when Creed's he's like, I was in an iron lung when I was 13, and Michael's like, how old are you? Did you see
right?
John Krasinski and Steve Carell did this like news interview thing? So on Angela and Pam, they have like a YouTube channel now. They've been doing a podcast, and
Yeah, I saw something about that.
John came on and he made Some Good News SGN, and he had his little girls paint this sign that looks like a news network, and he just interviewed Steve Carell. Steve said that his favorite part of The Office was the plasma TV, where he's like, and when guests come over, it just goes right in, and he pushes it like 2 inches in. He said that was his favorite part of the entire series.
That's really funny, actually.
I think my favorite part is when Dwight is testing Janet's carriage, and he's like, $600, and he takes it outside. He puts a watermelon in it, straps it up, throws it up on. He's like, "Don't watch out for the barbed wire." Oh no, my child.
Yeah.
All his little montages, they're so funny, dude.
Yeah, man. I always wonder what the on-set production is like at a show like that when you have such a powerhouse between the actors and the writing team and everything. Even like even the props and stuff, like you and me both know, being from Scranton, all the Scranton thing, like souvenirs and stickers and T-shirts and everything, they're so accurate. It blows my mind.
Yeah. All the little magnets and the plaques and stuff on the walls.
Yeah.
I want to know whose job it was. Yeah.
Alfredo's.
I want to know whose job it was to get those, because I want to commend them for their duty.
Yeah, they know. It's almost like they were from the area, because it's not like they're picking these super random places. They're picking places that locals know are the good spots,
Yeah. Yeah, what's the Port Richards? Have you ever been there?
I have not.
I've been there outside of it. It's right near the bowling alley in Scranton.
Yeah.
But it's more of like an Italian restaurant almost, and they have a little patio out front. But it's just in a little like strip mall almost.
I think my aunt worked there for a little while, if I'm going to be honest.
I think my favorite bar in Scranton is the Bog. It's pretty cool. It's just this little joint. It's cash only, and it's people call it the hipster bar, but it's more of like a music bar, if you will.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot of shows would be played there. Now you got to remember, I just turned 21, so I don't really have that much
right
experience at the bar scene in Scranton.
I wonder how they do shows there. It's very small.
Yeah. It seemed like the Bog and like the Keys, those are like some big music ones down there. Are things out in Pittsburgh though?
Yeah, they're about the same. I was talking about how after all of this is over, it's going to be so weird to go back out. Because even when I've been spending a lot of time out in the park. And there's one part of it where the trail really gets narrowed down.
Yeah.
And people are like, honestly on top of each other. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. Just afterwards, going to a bar where it's really crowded, it's gonna feel weird, right?
I definitely feel that. But I'm very excited for whatever kind of shenanigans the city gets into once this clears up, because people are going to be dying to get out.
Yeah, and
party.
It will finally be warm here.
I think there's going to be block parties all over the place. And
hell yes.
At the same time, it's going to be quite a while till we could have that kind of gathering. But hopefully. I saw China's just starting to slowly open places back up.
Yeah, I think they're fudging their numbers a little bit, honestly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I can tell you, I'm smoking some nice... What is this called? I don't know where I put the jar. I think it's like a lemon jack? It's like lemon haze and Jack Hare or something like that.
It's so funny that dispensaries are considered necessary.
Oh yeah, man. Think about all these stoners, and they're trapped inside, and they can't get their hands on, a good nug. There'd be riots. There'd be madness out here.
There would.
They're having trouble keeping people off the beaches and shit now. Can you imagine? You shut down all the pot shops.
Oh,
There's
dude,
no way.
all hell would break loose. Riots in the street.
And then, but like on a side note, there's a lot of people, even like elderly people and stuff who really rely on the shops for medication, not so much recreation.
True that.
So I think it makes sense, if a state is going to consider it medical, how can you keep pharmacies open and then shut down the medical marijuana shops,
Right. So is it like you order at like the door, or you just go in real quick?
I mean, there's still some places open. You got to like wait outside and stuff because there's a limited capacity. But myself, I've just been doing delivery. It makes more sense. It's
delivery.
It's easy. Yeah, they come right to you. Even like some of them will let you use card. You could They bring out a little chip reader with them, and you swipe it on there.
I gotta find a service
receipt
that will
if
deliver
it's-
me pretzels, bro.
What was that?
I need a service that will deliver me pretzels. That's what I've been running out of the most. There's still no toilet
Yeah, I
paper
feel
here
you.
too.
There's a lot of features. You go on like Postmates or something, you can get stuff right from the grocery stores. I don't know
True
about
that.
in Pittsburgh, but at least here there's a lot of delivery options right from grocery stores.
Right. Yeah, I saw this homeless guy walking down the street the other day with an entire pack of toilet paper. I was he definitely traded his way up to that. That's a hot commodity right now.
Oh yeah, man's got lucky. I stocked up right when all this stuff started, and I've been pretty good on the TP. Paper towels, I'm down on my last roll.
Damn.
I'll be using this terrible towel here to clean up messes. Running out of stuff.
Represent.
But I'm hanging out here, just been doing a lot of recording and, gaming, reading, whatever I could do to stay up, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, I watched like 4 movies yesterday. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, dude, I hit the movies and stuff hard right when this started, and I started running out of stuff to watch.
No,
Me
dude,
and my girl got
I
a
know.
Boomerang subscription though. And Boomerang's great because I've been watching a lot of old cartoons, and I've been wanting to see stuff like the Jetsons and the Flintstones and Scooby Doo, and you catch all that on Boomerang. It's like
Yeah, that's a good rabbit hole. Yeah, because the thing is, I've gone through 4 or 5 different hobbies to go hard in, and then they get old and I switch to something else.
Yeah.
So I gotta either keep finding other ones to do or go back and repeat the cycle, because now we got 4 more weeks. We're only a third of the way there.
Yeah, I hear you on that. One thing I was thinking about this morning is how different, because I just got my guitar amp only really a month ago. And
damn, it's been a month.
I think I'd be like much more bored if I was chilling here without this thing.
Yeah, I wish I got some new toys before this happens, because now I can't order any online, and all of the shops are pretty much closed. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I got lucky. I got really all I need right now. I got between the amp, that Javelina fuzz, and I got my delay pedal. You got the spring reverb on the amp. The amp's got a killer overdrive. I literally
true,
don't
that
need
within
anything
itself.
else.
Yeah. You should try to run like vocals through that spring reverb somehow.
Yeah, no, I've been thinking about that. I successfully ran like a MIDI instrument through the amp the other day. It was
Right,
just
right.
like it was like a Vox Continental model. Just like digital, but ran it through the amp. It was interesting.
Huh. I like using this bullet mic because it has a 1/4 inch on the end, so I could plug it into all my pedals and then into an amp.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really feedback either. That was originally meant for harmonica, but the guy from the Strokes uses it on like every single song.
Is that the microphone he uses?
Yeah, it looks like a fat bullet. That's why they call it a bullet mic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense because he's got such a tone on those vocals.
Yep. Yeah, it almost sounds like a megaphone.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been jamming so much to surf rock recently since you sent me that playlist. And just anything with spring reverb, it's so nice for
Exactly.
because it's been so cold here, but it's kind of peeked its head out a little bit. But when I listen to surf rock, it feels like it's really warm all the time here.
Exactly, man. It feels like sunshine. There's no other way to put it. Like sunshine, waves, sand on your feet.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing how I would say that genre more than any other genre in music has epitomized an entire
Feeling.
feeling and vibe
Absolutely.
in the whole sound, and I think it's amazing. I can't stop listening to it, to be honest.
Yeah, because here's the thing too. So they were using riffs that were kind of singled note, but they were going up and down like routing a wave, and the drums were just like so powerful and exciting. But the way they recorded it too, like obviously the guitar had the spring reverb, but the bleed from them playing it all together at once, it just makes it feel like you're in that environment, you know?
Exactly.
I was just watching this Stray Cats from like sometime in the 80s, I think. Their drummer was performing on stage, A, standing up, B, he only had a kick, a snare, and one cymbal, and he played the entire show like that. And it sounded exactly like the records too, so he must have done that all the time.
Yeah, man. You know you could. There's a lot of ways you could do stuff. No one says, "Hey, you got to do something this way," or "You got to do something this way." That's the beauty about music is you could do whatever the fuck you want, however the fuck you want to do it.
Yeah, true.
And there's no one there to tell you you can't do that because, you could say, "Hey, you can't do that," but if that person, they've got more, more hits than you do, how can you really argue?
You know what's kind of crazy too? I can't really think of another genre that's directly tied to a singular sport, like surf rock, you know?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
They don't have like ski rap.
No, definitely not. No, that's interesting. I think it's like the time period, everything kind of came together, electrification of the instruments, Fender with that killer spring reverb, and
yeah, they were really loud with a lot of headroom too. So the guitars weren't really that distorted, but they were very filtered, like tonally and with the reverb and everything. And
yeah, definitely. And I believe surfing, it really started to get popular in like 50s, early 60s. It started to pick up more.
Yeah,
so
right
I think
when
it makes sense that the entire culture developed a sound,
Yeah, and especially since it came right when Fender was out in California as well, producing their instruments like for the first time, So all of them used Fender for their guitars and their amps and everything.
Exactly.
And all of Fender's marketing stuff was surfing too.
Yeah, and I was reading more into it, and eventually they, people like the Beach Boys took that whole sound and made more pop music out of it, and then it got labeled the California sound. And that's where that whole stereotype comes from.
Yeah, the Beach Boys were from Wisconsin, I think.
Something like that. Yeah, I think it's Wisconsin. And then eventually, I don't know what happened. They came out here. We're recording out here or something. I don't know the whole story.
The Beach Boys, I'm pretty sure, were the first time I enjoyed music, like growing up. That's the first one I remember.
Oh, really?
I think it was the background vocals in particular.
Yeah.
I've always loved that.
Yeah, I love the Beach Boys. It's been hard for me to get into their stuff quite as much as other bands.
Like the Beatles.
I definitely got to respect the work, especially on albums like Pet Sounds, like the innovation.
Right. Like the Beatles.
The Beatles, exactly.
I think if I was in the Beatles, I would choose to be Ringo. That would be sick. Because
and what's the logic behind this one?
Because it would like, I love playing drums to begin with, but second of all, I could just watch John, Paul, and George just do their thing, and I don't want to say that his parts were really easy, but I'll say that they're not a huge challenge.
Yeah.
So it would just be fun to fuck around with that. And then on a song like Helter Skelter, I could just blow everyone's minds.
Yeah, man. And I don't get why Ringo gets such a bad rap. I don't care what anybody says. Ringo is honestly up there and one of my favorite drummers because of his versatility and how he wasn't like this crazy technical drummer, but when they had an idea, he always had the perfect beat to fit it.
Yep, he always kept it together, and he was
Exactly.
always on time. Because you got to realize, he was a dance hall drummer who could never hear the bands, and I don't know if you've ever played a gig as a drummer where you can't hear anything that's happening. You just got to keep going and hope that they stay on your time. And he was always really good at that. You could tell he started there.
Yeah.
I loved how Ringo's son played with the Who at the Super Bowl. Do you remember that?
No, I didn't even know that happened, to be honest.
Yeah, the Who played the Super Bowl halftime show a couple of years ago, and Zach Starsky is his name. That's Ringo's son.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He was really good, like crazy good at drums. Sounded like Keith Moon.
Yeah. You know, man, I think they should get the Stones to play the Super Bowl.
They did. They played like a year or two before that, I think.
Wow. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're supposed to come out here. I don't know what the hell's gonna happen with concerts now, but the Stones are supposed to play at Heinz in June or July. Tickets for nosebleeds were over 200. Oh yeah, that's right. You did see them there.
It was amazing, man. Greatest show I've ever seen.
Yeah, I hope it still happens. I'm just gonna go to the point and listen from across the river.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's sick though. What is it like to see a concert in a stadium? I've never seen that.
The sound was just phenomenal.
Really? It doesn't sound echoey?
It was pretty. There was just like a nice slapback going on in the whole stadium, and their sound system was insane. You got to remember too.
Right.
I'll never ever forget just how insane the tone was on Keith Richards' guitars.
Yeah, dude.
You just felt every single frequency in your body. Every note he'd hit.
Was he using Telly and like a tweed amp? Fender Twin?
Definitely the Telly. I didn't catch what amp he was using.
At the exhibit in New York this summer, I saw his setup. They had like these little, it was Jimmy Page's, Keith Richards, and Tom Morello. They had their actual setups sitting there with like their amps, their guitar, and whatever, and then it showed them on a movie up above it, and they talk about it. And Keith Richards was like, yeah, you can't beat this amp, and I always take a Telecaster, and I only need 5 strings. Because he leaves them in open G, so he used to just cut off his E string.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one?
The low one. Because he would play an open G, so the A string is now the lowest.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Yeah. Yeah, he's crazy because his riffs are so they're rhythm guitar, but they're so powerful and crunchy, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Not many people play guitar like that anymore.
No, definitely not. I'd say he was definitely one of the most influential players I had learning guitar.
Yeah.
Definitely tried to learn a lot of Stones songs. I think it's a big reason for the blues influence in my playing.
Right. I think Hendrix really he made me want to play guitar. His parts are so unconventional though that I would say Clapton probably is the biggest influence on how I physically play because his stock riffs and everything, they taught me how to use the pentatonic.
Yeah.
So I always revert back to those. And then Jimmy Page kind of extended that a little bit. Yeah, as far as rhythm though, I always liked I mean, Jimmy Page, don't get me wrong, he has great rhythm parts, but I'm trying to only speak about someone who isn't really a lead guitarist. I always thought Tom Petty was pretty good, and John Lennon was pretty good too. You know?
Yeah.
They have that similar thing to Keith Richards where they're really focused on keeping that groove, but the way they work around it is like they're hitting entire chords that are making little melodies.
Yeah, definitely.
I always thought David Gilmour did the best solos, though.
Sorry, what was that?
I always thought David Gilmour did the best solos.
Oh, hands down.
He's so patient, you know? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd have to say hands down Gilmour would be my favorite guitar player.
Yeah.
But
you
Hendrix is definitely close in there.
I was about to ask if you think that's why you play his Strat, and then you also said Hendrix, so the answer is probably yes.
Definitely those two influences. You know, I'm a huge Jimmy Page fan as well, though. But
yeah, he never really used the Strat.
Nah.
I always thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I think he was probably one of the reasons the Les Paul got so big was Jimmy Page.
True.
Honestly.
True that.
It became like the standard rock guitar.
Yep. And then you saw like Slash and everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
I always thought Clapton with the SG and the ES335, those were just, like, that was not fair. Anything he played was just ridiculous tone. He had such, like, piercing yet woody sounds.
I didn't know Clapton played a SG.
Oh, yeah, dude, he painted it himself. Oh, it's ridiculous, bro. He used to go to his neck pickup, turn the tone down to 0, and create this thing called woman tone. And it's crazy. It's so creamy, pun intended.
Wait, so he'd go to the neck pickup and turn his tone down to 0?
Yeah, all the way.
Oh, okay. That's So I've been listening to a lot of jazz guitar as well, like specifically Wes Montgomery.
Ooh,
and,
nice.
I was looking up how to get that kind of tone on a solid body because they're using hollow body electric.
Right.
And most people recommended the switch all the way up to the neck and tone knobs all the way down. So I've been messing with that a little bit. It's a little difficult to get used to. I gotta mess with some settings on the amp or something to get the right sound. But it's definitely a interesting tone.
Yeah, and I love using fuzz pedals for that with the fuzz all the way down because they could really brighten it up and give it more energy, but it stays low. Whereas Clapton just had like a really sharp Marshall amplifier. He would turn that down and even mess with his wah-wah pedal during it. Like Sunshine of Your Love, the solo that comes in, that's what he's doing pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I could hear that in his tone actually now that you're pointing it out, having the tone knobs down on the neck.
So if you had unlimited money to get another guitar besides a Strat, what would you go for?
Oh man. Honestly, I need a new bass guitar.
Yeah.
I would definitely look for like a Fender Jazz.
Ooh, yeah, those
jazz
are nice.
Bass.
Yeah, like Geddy Lee.
Yeah.
I could see you rocking that Hofner like Paul McCartney.
Yeah, I like the Hofner. The Hofner has a nice sound.
And Tame Impala as well.
Yeah, Tame Impala uses the Hofner as well. I like, I'd say one of my favorite bass players has to be John Paul Jones probably, and I know he was commonly caught with the jazz bass.
True, he was. He used a lot of different ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might be my favorite bassist by default.
Yeah, definitely someone who's not. I feel like he's not looked at with the same. He's like the Ringo of Zeppelin, if that.
Yeah, but he was so good on keys too and everything, you know.
Exactly.
He was classically trained.
It's not really fair.
Yeah. What about another amp besides like a Fender? What other brands would you get?
I don't know. Maybe like a Supro or a Vox.
Yeah, Supros are nice. Every time I play one, I almost buy it. I'm like, probably shouldn't do that yet.
Yeah, I hear you. That's
so
kind
nice
of what
though.
happened with this amp. Was I went in looking to get an overdrive pedal, and just got the whole amp.
And when I tried the one out across the street from me, I used the Supro guitar with it, and I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense why Dan Auerbach loves these.
Oh wow, I didn't even know they make guitars.
Oh yeah, they used to make them for like Sears and West Montgomery. The other one that was like Detroit, Montgomery and Ward. That's what it was. So
okay.
Airline and Supro were the two different brands between them, and then someone else picked them up recently, Eastwood Guitars, and they're making reissues. But there's a ton out there. They used to be really cheap too. That's the thing. They used to sell for not more than like $200.
Oh wow.
But now they make really nice versions too. They're plexiglass too, so they have a really interesting like open tone. They're throaty too, like a Big Muff almost.
Oh okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, what about a Gibson? What would you choose for that? Because I know you're a big Fender dude. Big Fender guy over here.
Guitar?
Yeah. Like a Gibson guitar, if money wasn't an object.
Probably just a Les Paul, I'd say.
What color?
Or even like an Epiphone Casino.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, the hollow body.
Yeah, those are nice. Yeah, honestly, probably would go with the Epiphone Casino over the Les Paul. I don't know what color. Maybe like a black or like a natural wood finish or something.
Yeah, those are underrated. I really want a semi-hollow body. I'm probably going to go for a Gresh with a Bigsby. 'Cause those are so affordable too.
Yeah, I've played a couple before. I definitely like them. I think last time I was with you actually in Guitar Center.
Oh, right. Dude, that was a great time.
It was a great time. I love going to Guitar Center and just fucking around a little bit.
Yeah, it was especially dope because we had two amps set up right next to each other that we would both go get two guitars and then we'd switch, so we got to play a bunch of different combinations and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sick. Wait, did I ever tell you the story about when I was in Guitar Center and I was in the drum room, Jake Ware was in the guitar room, he started playing the riff for Kashmir, and I started playing it on drums, and this guy came over to Jake, and he was like a really, really old stoner. And he goes, wait, you're playing Zeppelin in here, and he's playing Zeppelin in there. Wow, man. The people that you see awesome. In Guitar Center, it's incredible.
Yeah. Oh, that's really funny.
What's the coolest Guitar Center you've been to? Isn't the big one in LA the one they used in Tenacious D?
Yeah, the Hollywood one. I would say the Hollywood one is definitely the best. Yeah. They even have out on the sidewalk like cement handprints of all these famous musicians. I haven't seen it in a while, so I don't know exactly who's out there. But that's a real nice one. So when you go to some of the nicer Guitar Centers, they've got these whole rooms set up with like the humidity control and everything, and it's for all the vintage instruments.
Right.
And that Guitar Center has a vintage room inside of its vintage room. And
Jesus,
last time I was there, I was playing like a $30,000 combination between the guitar and the amplifier.
Oh, there's like a hidden door.
Yeah, right. You climb up a ladder, tell them a password. They let you crazy. Into the fourth The fourth vintage room.
You know what's cool? The guy from Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful, he buys really old guitars, and he claims they're really good investments too. And he was kind of joking that he was justifying it to his wife by saying, "Oh no, it's a good investment." And then he chuckled and he's like, "No, but it actually really is. Here's the math behind it." So he has a few different 50s Telecasters, like the originals, and they've gone up in price by like 10 grands over every like 25 years, I think it is.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, I'm just trying to justify blowing that much on a Telecaster because I love Telecasters, bro. To own like an original one like that, that would be, let's just leave it at a good investment.
Yeah, that was probably before I said I would get a bass amp. If I was going to get a new guitar that was, no money limits, no restrictions, it'd have to be like a 59 Tele.
Yeah. Yeah, and a Strat too. The old Strats played so differently. Now the necks are so grippy, where your whole palm kind of goes around it, and it has a lot of grip.
Yeah.
The old ones where you push down only like a couple, maybe even only a millimeter, and you already were hitting the note full on. Whereas now you really need to grip it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think if I got a Stratocaster though, I would want to build it. Because you could get the body and like a neck and everything. I think that would be a cool like project to do. I've always thought about doing that.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I've considered modding this Stratocaster I have a little bit, getting some new pickups and stuff, but
yeah,
I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to that, so still gotta figure out exactly what I'd want.
Yeah, you just gotta go to sound samples and like hear the difference in the pickups.
Yeah.
A lot of the times you could just kind of get a preamp to change it. The biggest thing with the Strat is the position of the pickups, like the selector switch. When you go between two, it's so distinct that it's a Stratocaster, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, especially because like the phase cancellation behind it. I don't know too much exactly about it, but I know blending the two pickups, it does some kind of phase cancellation. You could hear it because the feedback on the amplifier goes away when you go on one of those middle switches.
Right. Yeah, I think it's the way they're wound or the way that the selector sends the signal or something like that. I forget. But I know for humbuckers, they have like two single coils pretty much right next to each other, upside down from each other, and that's how they get the negative polarity phase cancellation.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to use those middle ones if I'm gonna layer in some more rhythm guitar, like maybe at a different octave, layered in with the lead rhythm guitar.
Right. Yeah, I've always found that I'm a big single coils fan because the humbuckers are nice, but they don't how do I say this? They don't change as extremely, so you're kind of stuck with that sound. And the other thing is I like using the Tele mostly for live stuff. So whenever I bring the Gibson sometimes, I have to like redo literally every knob,
Yeah.
I've also found that humbuckers are easier to get muddy in modern music. They were really good with old Marshall amps because those were super sharp and that was the main thing going on. But that's also when they were miking drums completely differently and the drums were built differently and they weren't processed as much, You're using tape.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I haven't really I don't really played too much with the humbuckers, so I'm not too familiar with the difference in the sound. I just know I definitely prefer the single coils on the Stratocaster.
Yeah. What about drums though? What's your favorite like drum period? Because I think drums have changed so much the way they sound, from the 40s to 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s.
Yeah. I would have to say probably like late 60s, early 70s for me.
Yeah, I was about to say that too because that's the time where they innovated just enough where you finally heard like the best presented version of what they were trying to do in the early 60s. But like in the later 70s, they were only innovating to make the drums good for large concerts, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
But I love that tape sound. It's so nice.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that for like vinyl and stuff, they always talk about, oh, vinyl sounds better than iTunes, like modern songs. They're actually just talking about tape versus digital, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's what a lot of people don't even realize is the recording behind it, and even just all the analog gear, and not using digital plugins to get these sounds is.
Give me
what really
1 second.
gives the
I gotta let Rachel in 1 sec.
Oh, okay.
All right, what up? I'm back.
All right.
Yeah, she got that spin bike, so she's coming over to use that. Dude, I went so hard on that the other day that I was just trying to like set a new high score, if you will.
Yeah.
And I was drinking beers while I did it, and dude, I went way too hard on it, and the next day, nothing worked. Like, it was a recovery day and a half for me. I went for 2 hours and 40 minutes, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But then the next day, instead of writing the high score up, I was like, no one should ever try that.
Hey, you gotta just do it sometimes and, make sure everything's working properly,
Yeah, that's what she said. Especially during quarantine, though, because it hasn't been super, super nice here. We've had some days, but for the most part, it's kind of just, open the windows a little bit, but put on a sweatshirt.
Yeah, I feel you. It's been today. It's a lot nicer than it's been. It's the high today is like 74. It's been like 60, 62. Like 40s at night. But these next couple days, it looks like it's gonna warm up a little bit. I think the city's probably worried that people are, gonna be out and stuff. That's why they had to close everything.
Yeah. Did they literally like close down entrances to the beach and everything? Because I know they were doing that in like Florida and everything.
Yeah, man. I got the paper yesterday, and front page on the California section is like a security officer in front of a like big barrier, like traffic cone kind of thing on the beach, like blocking it so no one can get on.
Damn. So they're actually guarding
the parking lots, and they closed the Santa Monica Pier like weeks ago. Like that was a while ago.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, just all this stuff going on. It's pretty crazy to see. I really want to take a drive out one of these next couple of days just to see everything, because it's it's like a once in a lifetime kind of thing, seeing a huge city like this on such lockdown.
Yeah. So wait, you said you've been gaming and watching Boomerang. Which one do you want to talk about?
Pretty much, man.
I'm down to talk about both. Pick one first.
Let's start off with Boomerang, because I feel like that came first.
It's all coming back to you, huh? I used to love those commercials on Cartoon Network for Boomerang.
Yeah.
It's not a channel actually anymore, right? It's just like an online.
I don't know. It used to be a channel on just like select, like if you had DirecTV or something, I think you could get Boomerang.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a channel on regular cable.
Yeah. What you been watching on there?
A lot of Tom and Jerry.
My
Looney
favorite.
Tunes. Yeah, Tom and Jerry's definitely the best.
Yeah. I think Tom and Jerry was a huge influence for me on music, because the way that they used music to set an environment, because it was cartoon. They would show like a dog in a doghouse, and then this activity was going on, and like to set the mood, they would often use the music because it was so stripped away from visuals and everything.
That's why I think Tom and Jerry is one of the best, is the absence of conversation, you know what I mean? There's such minimal dialogue in the whole show.
Yep.
And they still managed to get so much emotion just between the fantastic music score and then the animation on the characters. There's so much
it's like physical humor and visual storytelling and everything.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how they pull off a show like that. Another good example is like Looney Tunes.
Yeah,
I'm watching a lot of Looney Tunes.
Yeah, the coloring in all of those is amazing. That whole color palette they used to use.
Yeah, it's so pleasing to the eye.
It is. It is. It's like soup for your eyes. Chicken
You know,
noodle.
most of the time I'll just have the cartoons on silent, just on the TV behind me if I'm recording on a track or something like that, just for like something to look at. You know what I mean? It kind of.
Right.
It's just nice and pleasing to have going on in the background.
Yeah. I always end up binging cartoons when I'm sick. I'll go on YouTube and just type in like 4-hour videos of Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, and all those.
Yeah.
What else is on Boomerang? You're saying like the Jetsons, I think?
Yeah. I've been trying to get into.
I haven't seen that in years.
I didn't have anywhere to really see them. It was like the Jetsons, the Flintstones, even the classic 1969 Scooby-Doo.
Ooh, Scooby-Doo as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo was after, right? That was like 60s? And Tom and Jerry was 50s?
Tom and Jerry was actually the 40s when 1940 they started Tom and Jerry. And same with Looney Tunes was back around in the 40s, and you know, like Popeye, Disney started doing the stuff with Mickey Mouse.
It's crazy how they used to make
prior
those.
To that, though.
They just had those big, like, crooked desks pointed towards them where they would literally draw all of the frames.
Yeah.
That must have taken so long.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, I wonder too, because I know Disney, for their cartoons, they had these window panes where they would have different things painted on them. So an establishing shot where there were like trees here and then a mountain behind it, and there would be like depth to it. They would take those panes, stack them on top of each other, and film downwards, and then they would like zoom in and out, and that would create the parallax effect that made it look like there was depth to it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like the
I've never really
techniques are
seen
insane.
anything on how they used to do that animation, but now that you're piquing my interest, that's definitely what I'm gonna spend a little time doing later tonight.
I know.
Looking
Dude,
at videos on how this is done.
if there was one skill that I could just snap my fingers and have, it would be how to animate like that.
It
takes so long, but
so much time.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine messes around with it, and he'll do these super simple animations, and it takes like a ridiculous amount of time.
Right.
And that's even modern day. I couldn't even imagine doing cartoons in 1940.
Yeah. Another reason I really like cartoons as well is because the voice acting.
Oh, I definitely agree.
Right.
Especially on shows like Looney Tunes.
Yeah. Looney Tunes, even The Simpsons or Family Guy too, you know?
Yeah. South Park.
You know Ollie that does the weather? He's like, it's gonna rain.
Yeah.
I saw that actor talking about that gig, and he was like, I got paid so much for the easiest job ever. I would walk in, Seth, what's up? go in the booth, be like, it's raining. Seth would be like, you're good. All right, I'm just gonna do one more, I guess. It's raining. All right, thanks. Have a good one. Wait, I think the hardest I've ever laughed for a Family Guy joke is when they legalized weed, and they go to Ollie with the weather, and he's like, let's go to Ollie with the weather. Ollie, how is it out there? Not too bad. It's so great. I feel like working on a cartoon must be the best environment.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that.
So you can do whatever you want.
To do
you know?
one day is voice act or something like that.
Yeah.
Do music for a cartoon, like SpongeBob. I think SpongeBob has a fantastic soundtrack.
Absolutely. I'm glad that it pops up in memes quite a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, our whole generation knows SpongeBob like the back of our hands. So
yeah, I love that they picked
sense.
the surf rock thing of it too. Getting back to that.
Exactly.
It's crazy the
that's
similarities.
That's one of the reasons I love surf rock is because I used to watch SpongeBob so much.
Yeah, right. It's crazy.
That's what I do when I'll play slide guitar or something around someone who's not used to it, and they'll be like, "Oh, it sounds like SpongeBob or something."
Right. And I think all of it comes back to Hawaiian music.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder when that exactly started in Hawaii, because I know they've had ukuleles for quite a while, but the slide guitar in particular, that probably isn't earlier than like World War II, I bet.
Yeah, I have no idea. All I really know about the origins of slide guitars, I know a lot of blues players would play like an actual bottleneck on their finger. A lot of times someone who didn't really know how to play the guitar would use that as like a cheat.
Definitely.
To play easier.
Yeah. I had to give a presentation in my class once at Pitt that I showed how that worked. So I went with a acoustic guitar that only had the low E string, the G string, and the B string. And I took it out and I was like, this guitar is out of tune, only has 3 strings, but I'm going to take this slide. And then I tuned it up to like something open. And I told them I didn't need to know how to actually play a chord, because when you bar it, you're already playing a chord. So as I was playing, 2 of the other strings broke because they were super old. So I was left with 1 string, and that it worked even better. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about slide too. If you learn the guitar that way, that makes sense to you, and you're probably not going to be great at actually playing it. But the people that learn normal guitar that also get really good at slide, people don't know how hard that is. Like, slide guitar is very difficult.
Slide guitar is very difficult. I was just watching a video last night actually about the pedal steel guitar, because I had just found out that Jerry Garcia was actually the one who played pedal steel guitar on Teach Your Children by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Get out. I never knew that.
And yeah. And he learned it to play with New Riders on the Purple Sage. It was one of his side projects. And
damn.
I watched a video of someone demonstrating how to play one of those things, and it's crazy, man. You sit down at this big thing like it's a piano, but there's like multiple foot pedals, and it'll bend the string so you can, bend your it'll be an open G, bend your B into like a C sharp and stuff like that to get different chords, and you just play it flat on the table, and you use your knees to hit these other levers that do other kind of bends, and it's just insane how intricate that is. It'd take me years to be able to play it as well as he did on that record. I couldn't even believe it.
I never knew it only bent a certain string. That's crazy. How many strings does it have?
The one I was looking at them, and there would be 2 necks side by side on this flat table. And they'd be normal like 6 strings, I believe. But usually like open G tuning, and you just bend the certain strings to get a whole different chord out of just changing one string,
Yeah. Santo and Johnny were great for that too. They literally, they were just 2 dudes that played guitar, one of them on slide, one on rhythm, and that was their entirety. They had like #1 hits back in the day because that was just so innovative, and it was such a cool new sound.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's so much expression in a slide, because it almost, it can eliminate even, traditional Western harmony by adding microtonal
right
movement,
like bending
in the
whole
notes,
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's almost like a human voice.
Yeah, exactly. There's no limit with the frets. It's like how you look at Indian instruments like a sitar, and they have a lot more notes in that scale than we do, and their ears are used to that, the microtones.
Yeah, instead of 12-tone temperament, they have more. So the ratios between each are completely different.
Exactly. That's why it sounds so strange to us to hear like a sitar, or like when George Harrison would bring out the sitars playing with the Beatles.
Right. I think the closest way that you could get to that sort of sound is with the Phrygian scale. That's the one that they use for like toro toro. That's like if you want to go to Spanish mode, you just whip into Phrygian like that.
Yeah.
Because it's very strange of a mode, but it somehow works at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
I always thought George Harrison was a genius for the things that he invented because they were so simple at the same time, you know? Like the chromatic movement they always used. He would play like a D major, and then he would pick one note to just descend the entire way. That would give you like a major, then major seventh, dominant seventh, down to a different chord.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, dude, he would just pick 4 notes in a row and build chords around them.
Huh. Yeah, man, I think George Harrison was a great guitar player.
Yeah. I really want a Leslie, bro. That's what I need.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Preferably a nice Hammond organ to go with it, but if I could just have the Leslie, that's cool too.
I wonder what a Mellotron would sound in that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, man. A Mellotron. That's such an interesting instrument.
It is too, right? Because they have little pieces of tape that have 9 different segments on it that when you select the different sounds and you hold down the key, it'll play that tape for 7 seconds. And then when you let go, it just moves that tape back into place.
Oh, yeah.
But each key has their own long thing of tape. It's crazy. Have you ever seen like the inside of one?
A little bit.
Oh, it's crazy.
I've definitely seen some pictures.
The thing about those, though, like tape disintegrates over time, so you have to replace them. That's why you don't really see many modern ones.
Exactly.
Or any vintage ones that still work, rather.
Yeah, it was so groundbreaking for the time, though, because, you know, they had literally invented a sampler. And it was this big, elaborate instrument. It's something we could do in, you give me like 10 seconds, I can load up a sampler in Ableton or something, you know?
Right. Now people are going on fucking, they sample like Donald Trump yawning, and then they'll use that for every single instrument in a song and make it, put it up on Reddit. It's crazy.
We should invent the memetron. It'd be like a real, you know, tape mellotron, and you can buy it, but it's just for memes. And it's all just like meme noises. You know? You got Donald Trump yawning and I don't know, some SpongeBob music or something.
Yeah, right. So yeah, you've been gaming, you said too, right? What have you been playing?
Mainly Minecraft, a little bit of Fortnite. And you know, it's pretty crazy. I used to be horrible at Fortnite, and then I played and I got first like 2 times in a row.
Damn.
And I got like 4th or 5th, and I got first again. I was like, you know, 3 for 4. I'm just gonna call it a night. I'll stop playing it.
Yeah, there's a learning curve for sure.
I couldn't even believe it.
Once you learn how to build, then you get there. I never had it myself except on my phone, but one time I got to 2nd on my phone, and I was like, I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead. Never played it after that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's definitely the next move, is to learn how to build. But speaking of building, that's the other game I've been playing, really, is Minecraft. And I've been playing Minecraft on and off since like it's got to be like early middle school.
Oh shit, it's been around that long?
Yeah, man. I used to play basically right when they released because it first came out on the PC only, and it was much more complicated. There wasn't really it wasn't as user friendly as it is now. You had to kind of go on forums and stuff, look up how to make materials and how to craft different stuff, and now it's a lot more explanatory. You go and you have like a recipe book and whatnot. But
so what's the plot of the game, if you will?
Basically,
I've seen someone play it, but I've never played it myself.
It's not like there's this story mode or anything. You just kind of get dropped in this world, and you could choose, you know, if you want it to be like a fields, or you could be like a mountainy area or snowy, or even weird shit like there's like a mushroom island one and stuff like that. And you just get dropped like, build there, maps and you gotta basically start collecting material and build a shelter, and you get wood and you build tools, and it allows you to collect materials faster. And there's like monsters and stuff that come out at night, and you could select if you want to play on like easy, medium, hard. There's even peaceful, but that's kind of boring.
Yeah, like any games that you could like build maps in.
Yeah. Really, the whole thing about it that makes it unique though is it's not like a normal game. It's all pixels and very it's like playing with Legos on a video game, if that makes sense.
Huh. Yeah, that does make sense.
But you're in a world with all this living, trees, and there's like animals running around, and you gotta eat, and but it's very relaxing and almost meditative to play, because of the lack of plot. You know what I mean? You're just kind of surviving, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense.
Even the music is super like calm piano, and all the noises are super downsampled and like bitty sounding, crunchy.
I've been going down these YouTube rabbit holes with videos of people that have built Planet Coaster shit, and they're so funny, dude. You could do so much heinous shit in that game.
What game is that?
It's like, I've never played it. It looks like a modern version of Roller Coaster Tycoon. Did you ever play that?
I have.
Yeah,
I love Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Right? That shit was sick.
Yeah, man.
But there's a modern version of it now. Games. Yeah, there are. It's a great concept, though.
Oh, yeah.
Theme parks in general are pretty interesting to, like, think about. So, I was down in Disney, like, a month ago, and it makes you think about a lot of shit down there. Not only the sheer corporation that's down there and, like, how much money they must be making and everything, but the way that they tell stories by you walking through them, it's so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree.
The Star Wars land was sick too. That was definitely my favorite part. It's cool that they have like a Star Wars land now,
Yeah, exactly. The way it's set up is pretty. It was so realistic to me. It felt really cool just walking around in there with the buildings and all. The design of everything was right out of a movie set.
Did you try that milk? I forget what they called it.
I did not. I didn't see it when I was there, but I heard about it after.
Yeah, they have this little stands where you could have. It's coconut milk dyed either green with tequila in it or blue with rum in it. Both of them are very good. I liked the green one and thought the blue one tasted stronger, but Rachel thought the green one tasted stronger and liked the blue one more. But it was awesome. I guess it
depends if you're a rum or tequila fan.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Both of us kind of like tequila more, so it was interesting. But it was awesome because we got it on our way out of the Star Wars lands, and then we stood in line for the Toy Story thing. And the way it's set up, it makes you feel like you're a toy because everything's giant. So we were just standing in that long line drinking this milk, and after one of them, like you could feel it. It was a good time.
Yeah.
So you saw the new movie, right? Star Wars?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think?
I thought it was not horrible. I mean, it's a Star Wars movie. I mean, I don't think they really should have touched the original plot, like the original saga, but
I could see why they did it. It was
really as bad as a lot of people were making it out to be.
Yeah, me too.
It just feels a lot more Disney than prior Star Wars. I think one thing that kind of threw me off compared to the first and second trilogies were there's a lot more tragedy in the other trilogies. There's a lot more moments that really make you feel sad when a character's lost or
it wasn't gritty enough. That. It was too feel
exactly. It was a little too definitely filtered and too like happy. Like everything turns out okay in the end kind of feeling.
Yeah, no one got their arm cut off. What was that about?
Exactly. Yeah, you think about how Empire ended.
Yep.
And that was like definitely has to be my favorite movie.
Yeah, I think that's the highest rated movie on IMDb with the villains winning at the end.
That makes sense.
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah. But
it tells such a strong story, and it leads into all the stuff that happens in Return of the Jedi. So
Right. But the
it's the whole
visuals,
plot, you know. Return of the
visuals
Jedi.
have never been better, especially on Exegol with the Emperor. That shit was crazy.
Exactly. The visuals are definitely some crazy eye candy compared to when they, you know, went crazy with the CGI in like Phantom Menace and the Clone Wars and stuff.
Yeah, I remember going to see the Last Jedi with you, and that part where it goes silent, that was crazy.
Yeah.
You're right though.
Oh,
I wish we went back to see that again and had a pun in our pocket for that moment, because that place was so quiet during that. We could have said like, "Ooh, she didn't quite make the cut,"
Yeah,
and
right.
everyone would have heard us. What'd you think about that one too? I feel like most people thought that was the worst one.
Which one was it?
The Last Jedi, the one we saw together.
That was the 8th one, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I definitely thought that was the worst one in the new trilogy.
Yeah, I would say that only because the plot line with Finn was completely useless, and that ate up so much of the movie that the rest of it was very divisive. Like, some people hated the Leia coming back part. I didn't really mind that. I liked all this shit on the islands. That was cool.
I thought that when Leia fell out of the cruiser or whatever, and then floated back.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, it was weird, but it was like, all right, whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, I don't know, man, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. You know, there's definitely some stuff that happens in even the original trilogy that I'm like, but you just kind of go with it.
No, definitely. I think the prequels get a really bad rap. Those are so rewatchable.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
My favorite part of the prequels is when they're getting chased through space by Boba and Jango Fett, and they're dropping they're tailing them, and they're dropping the depth charges. That sounds that they make, I used to put that on replay in my stereo in my living room and just turn it up all the way. That's one of the coolest noises in any movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I saw the third one. Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
I saw that one in theaters when it came out, and
Me too.
That was pretty crazy. I was young.
Yeah.
But now
that
going
one might
back
be
and
my
watching
favorite,
them,
honestly.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
There's just some classic scenes in that, like the Anakin Obi-Wan Kenobi. That blew my mind.
Yeah, I hear that. That one might be a close second.
There were a lot of bad parts of that, but overall, you know.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Pretty good movie, though. You know, I can't really complain about the prequels. I just think some people are a little too hard on the whole series, you know?
Right. So I got another question. This one is quite the thinker. If you had any car in any place to be whipping through wherever you want, what car would it be? Where would you be? What color would it be?
If I had any car to be any place.
Yep.
Just driving anywhere?
Yep.
Man, I'd have... It's like a 1970... I forget the year. It's the Pontiac GTO The Judge. It's like
I knew you were going to say that.
It's an orange. It's a beautiful fucking car.
Dukes of Hazzard?
Probably... Yeah. I'd probably be driving that. I don't even know, man. I was watching this surf movie. It's really what put me onto the whole surf music kick. It's called Endless Summer.
Oh, yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, and these guys just chase summertime. They go down to the southern hemisphere during the winter, and they surf at all these places in, like, Africa, Australia. They go to, New Zealand. Where else? I forget. South America, I think. But all these places that have never even seen surfers.
Oh, wow.
And they were at one point just driving around on the cliffs in South Africa, down like Cape of Good Hope. And it was so beautiful. I think that's where I'd be, driving around in that Pontiac GTO The Judge.
Yeah, I gotta check out that movie. Is it like a documentary style? Like it actually happens?
Yeah, no, it's real. It's just these two surfers, and I think they bring a cameraman with them, and they travel all
It
these
was
different
in like
like
the
third world
60s, right?
countries and stuff. It was in the 60s.
Yeah.
The movie might have came out in like sometime in between 60 and 65.
Yeah. Makes sense. I remember when you first sent me that link, the song I commented on was the one from that movie.
Yeah, it was the theme song, I think.
Yeah, that's so nice.
Yeah, you got to check it out. There's an app you can download where you can watch it for free right now. I'll send you
Hmm.
the info.
I just watched Jumanji 2. Have you seen that?
I have not. I haven't seen the first one either.
So this one was, I think, even better than the first one because so here's the premise. There's the main actors are being played by other actors, right? So they enter the game and then whoever's playing this character, The Rock is acting like that person. You know, so Danny DeVito is one of the players now. So the characters, first The Rock is acting like Danny DeVito. That shit is so funny. And then they transfer characters over. And then this Asian girl comes out and she's now Danny DeVito. That shit had me cracking up. Just like, all right, let's break on out of here. Doing like a Danny DeVito impersonation. It was just so funny. I'd recommend that though. It's like a predictable family movie, but at the same time, there was a lot of good little jokes within it too. It was entertaining for quarantine times.
Yeah, I hear that. Whatever gets the job done right now, you know?
Yeah. There's been a lot of pollen popping up here. What is that like in Cali? Is there like a season where there's a lot of pollen?
Not quite the same as Pennsylvania, because my allergies would get really bad for like 2 weeks in the spring. They'd be like horrible for 2 weeks, and then they'd be, I'd be pretty good the rest of the season. Same thing in the fall. And here, I don't really deal with that. I just get random times I'll get a little allergies, but it'll be like super mild, and it'll be a time I'm not even really expecting to get them, you know?
Yeah.
You think, I see leaves fall here in like December.
Oh, they do?
January.
So it's not green year round?
And it's not even like this whole big process. There's just like some trees do it sometime, and it's like, it's almost very lazy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense for LA. Lazy trees.
Yeah, right?
That's crazy. I figured that they would like intake the sunlight all year.
Yeah, they do, but they need to. I think that's why it's like a lazy process, is they kind of get rid of some leaves, or maybe not all of them, and it's almost like they're losing some leaves all throughout the year, but a little bit more in like December,
right?
January around, mainly December.
So, how do you like being 21 now? What have you been up to for that?
I mean, I got to hit some really cool bars.
Yeah.
And breweries and stuff before this whole lockdown, but
weren't you saying your second cousin has a brewery?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how we're related. It's like second cousin, maybe even third cousin. But he's the, I don't know if he's the owner, but he's definitely the brewmaster. It's called Indie Brewing Company. It's over in like Boyle Heights, like right next to downtown.
Nice.
And it's phenomenal beer. Like, like I was saying, I'm sipping on this Lagunitas, and I've been loving it. But he's got some really nice IPAs over there that, coming from the tap, beat anything I've ever had.
Oh, yeah.
I've had a good amount of craft beers, but that's pretty good stuff over there.
Yeah, if you like the Lagunitas, you would definitely like New Juice IPA by Southern Tier, especially. So they had this thing called a New School IPA that pretty much tasted just like Lagunitas, maybe a little lighter. And then they had some like juice version. They put both of those recipes together and made this New Juice IPA. It's incredible. And then they have this thing called 8 Days a Week that I would call it Rolling Rock on steroids. It's so easy to drink, but it's so flavorful still.
Yeah. What is it called?
Southern Tier is the name of the brands. 8 Days a Week is the name
Oh, that's
of.
funny.
It's like a blonde ale.
8 days a week.
I know. Plus, that gets stuck in your head every time you sing it, so you always love it. The Beatles. I could talk about the Beatles any day of the week. There's so much crazy shit with them, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Even just John Lennon's life in general.
Yeah, man. They're so inspirational. I used to have a picture of them all in their uniform, like their Sergeant Pepper uniforms.
Yeah.
Super
That's the
colorful.
coolest picture. Yep.
Just sitting there, like staring at you as my desktop, because I knew every time I'd open my laptop, I couldn't not be productive with the Beatles staring at me. You know what I mean? Especially in their Sergeant Pepper suits. So right now I have Pink Floyd staring at me, but it used to be the Beatles.
I love how the day Sgt. Pepper's came out, the Beatles went to go see Jimi Hendrix, and Jimmy started playing like an hour late because he was backstage. He just got the vinyl and was listening to it, and the band sat down and learned the opening track.
Yeah.
And they opened the show with that and got a standing ovation from the Beatles sitting up top.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's one of the coolest moments in music history. It's so crazy that they all knew each other too, you know?
That what?
That they all knew each other. They were all coming up at like the same time, and
oh yeah. Yeah, it's like
even in the Yardbirds, for example, they had Eric Clapton first, then they wanted Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page said, I'm making too much money from this studio work, so here's my friend Jeff Beck. And then Jeff Beck left, Jimmy Page replaced him, so all three of them went through the Yardbirds. And then when everyone else left the Yardbirds, Jimmy Page was like, okay, I'll make the new Yardbirds, they were called, which became Led Zeppelin. And the way they got that name is because when they were playing one of their first shows, Keith Moon was backstage and the equipment wasn't working. He goes, oh, this concert's going to go down like a Led Zeppelin. And Jimmy Page goes, that's the name of this band now. And they all knew each other. They were all similar age. They all lived in like the general same 2 hours of each other, you know?
Yeah.
They all loved American like Delta blues and Chicago blues.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's so interesting how tight knit that English scene was around that time.
Yep. And then how Jimmy's first Stratocaster was Keith Richards' old guitar.
Was it really?
Oh yeah. So you know who Linda Keith is? She was dating Keith Richards in 65.
Yeah.
So she found Jimmy like playing at some club in Manhattan, right?
Yeah,
she talks to him afterwards, and then she's like, he has a lot of potential, and they become like close friends. So she gives him one of Keith's old guitars, and that's that white guitar that Jimmy brought with him to London.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just, it's
sense.
so insane how intertwined all of their stories are.
Yeah. Oh, it is pretty crazy.
Going back to the Beatles, though, my favorite quote from the Beatles is when they're interviewing, I think it's John and Paul, and they go, "Is Ringo the best drummer in the world?" And John goes in, he's like, "Ringo isn't even the best drummer in the Beatles." They were so quick in interviews. You know, their personalities really came through.
Yeah, dude, there's some really funny shit from the Beatles interviews. They were just like goofballs, you know?
They were goofballs.
Like,
they
it's
seriously
so
were.
Funny.
Pink Floyd, on the other hand, they were completely a different path, you know? I never heard a story of Pink Floyd coming up in like the same vein as everyone else. I mean, they were a few years after, but even like the genre, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
They're just so original. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, they were completely in their own area of music. I think there's so much influence on, because, you know, people talk about how an album like Sgt. Pepper kind of fused what was going on with classical music and pop music at the time, because classical music had become pretty avant-garde at that point. It was a lot of just like tape loops of random noises and stuff, and people were like, this is music, like how can you not call it music, you know, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
And it was just noises. And so I think Pink Floyd took that even further and went further into the avant-garde area of that kind of thing. And you listen to some stuff off like Adam Hart Mother, like I think it's called Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast or something like that. There's just like a faucet dripping for a couple minutes and like stuff like that. It's like nobody was doing that, and then still came out with these huge, you know, like chart-topping #1 albums. You know what I mean? Only a couple years later.
I know they made an entire album with kitchen utensils and like items around the house, and then they made it and never released it and just gave up on it.
Yeah, I think they had I don't know if they completely completed it. I know they had spent a ton of time doing it though.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I think Alan Parsons, who was the engineer, started to get pretty frustrated.
As one would.
Because they were like barely getting it, like they, you know what I mean? It wasn't going anywhere. But they ended up using a lot of those noises on different stuff, like in the beginning of Shine On You Crazy Diamond, the first one, parts 1 through I think it's 5.
Oh man, that song is ridiculous.
Oh yeah. There's like a noise in the background. It sounds almost like glass bells or something, and that's them. They have glasses of with water in them at different levels, and then they're running their finger around the rim to get different pitches and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was a recording from that project of just household stuff.
That's pretty sick. We should try to add some of that in to the LP we're working on. I'm super excited for that too.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that project too, because not only are we like putting both of our heads together for one solid LP, but it's also putting together a lot of the thoughts of like the people making shit in the 60s like we've been talking about, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's been a lot of fun for me because it's a nice chance to kind of branch out and mess around with some different ideas and experiment. But yeah, really excited to see what else comes about.
Yeah, absolutely. It was cool too that we solidified the concept before we made any of it.
Exactly.
I haven't done that much. I've at least had something that I stumbled upon, and then I was like, oh, I can make an entire album out of this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
The whole intro especially is kind of like that Shine On You Crazy Diamonds. The part where those different glasses come in and that, and all like I don't know how they make the noise that it sounds like something's dripping, like the just real soft at the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's the glasses.
Oh, damn. So there's a part with the guitar in the intro, the desert. That sounds like rain, where like it goes through the first loud part, but then it releases again, and it's like really soft on the guitar. It sounds like it starts raining almost. Yeah. And I've been trying to think of the entire album kind of that way.
Oh,
to try to make it like cinematic.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
All right, dude. Well, thank you for being my third guest on here, man.
Oh, hell yeah. It's been great to be on here, you know, a lot of good talking. Got me thinking about a lot of stuff to to think about now the rest of the night.
Definitely. Yeah, take the chance to plug yourself. Where should the people look you up?
You know, you could, you know, of course, find me on Spotify, Distant Tide, and same on Instagram. It's just distant_tide. You know, gonna be putting out some new content soon, especially this EP that me and Andrew are working on. So, a lot to look out for.
Hells yeah, brother. Cheers, mate.
Hey, cheers to you too, man.
I don't know if you could hear, but I'm hitting the mic with my Rolling Rock.
There we go.
All right, man. Goodbye, everybody.
All right, man. Peace.